So I'm videotaping this. What I want to do today is get into with SQL. We're going to do a database, but with my in the before I MySQL, I'm going to go up to the website and just look at. So, okay. Faster. Really slow.
Yeah, mine just really slow too.
Well, there we go. At least I got rid of the her bicycle. It's a little bit of the Microsoft on this. If we don't get in here in a moment, I'll just see about doing it. And then we'll look at the assignment after.
Mine slowed down for a bit, but then not back up.
Mine made it in, but now it's having trouble getting to the assignments, and I'm not sure why. I mean, courses, nope, still spinning. Weirdly, there it goes. And we want ITC2202132017. So, a couple of things about the assignment. I'm going to go to the modules. So, we've pretty well finished the SQL Server one. If you haven't done the quiz, you should give it a try. If you totally bomb those, I think each one has at least 2 tries. Some of them may have more, but I will forgive. Like if everything looks good, except the quizzes to that. And you can also ask questions about it, and you use whatever. Start the Python Club one, and I want to talk a little bit about that. One of the things that we need to do for the Python one is join a new group. I mean, you can have the same people or you can have new groups if you want. There should be a Python Club group. And so when we start working today, you can join, club groups. It's just like the other one. I'm going to have you work as a group. But when you turn things in, you should only have to turn in one thing, and then I'll grade you individually. But, it's a group project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Vince's binder, were we all supposed to turn in one?
So the last assignment seems to not have been as attached to the group somehow.
Okay.
But I gave everybody the points. I probably gave people points that weren't here, but I gave everybody the points for that. Because I noticed that it wasn't. Normally when you turn in one for the group, everybody gets it. For some reason that one didn't. So, but I gave everybody the points for that. So, but when we start this afternoon, what I hope to do is introduce how to do this, have you build your first rough draft today of the database, and then on Thursday or Wednesday, whenever we meet again, we'll go over together and revisit. We'll do create switches and really and do a little data. Not that will be in. How many weeks are left? 3, 5. We should have. If we don't, we'll then we may do it together in the end. We'll do it. But let's go to the actual thing. I want to show you what the Python database will look about like. So it's PDF. Hope it won't take forever to open. All right. So it is under. Well, actually, it should be under the module. Is it not shown under the module? Yeah.
It's just come back as well from the UK.
Yeah. So kind of. So the idea of this database is it's going to be a school class for Python. They hold meetups and speakers, and they want a website. We're not going to build a website, obviously, but we'll build a backend database. And that will list all the activities and where members post links to resources and tutorials. So the purpose of the database is to serve as a management system for the club. And one reason that's typically what MySQL is used for. This is a more traditional database business way, but the big use, excuse me, MySQL is to be basically management database for websites. I think I said many times, Press is built on MySQL. A lot of all the PHP, MySQL, Apache. It's just become a standard for a lot of websites. So that's why this database is kind of more like a social website, more of a management thing. We will want in the database to track all the meeting places, summaries of meetings, should be speakers and presentations presented by the club. Have basically a schedule of upcoming meetups and events around the town, even if they're hosted by other organizations. It should track all the resources and tutorials posted by the members, and there should be a list of general announcements, of, just announcements that don't fit in as meetups and things like that. We can talk more about this as we go into it. Only members can post announcements. So you're going to have people be able to log in and register as members. Only club officers can post meeting times and meeting summaries. Club members can record announcements as inappropriate, but only club officers can remove them. Any club member can add a notice of a meetup or an event, and anyone in the public can view the site. So we don't have to worry about the tasks here particularly. I just wanted to get the idea of what the database will be looking like. Questions on that? Just the overview of the database. We can get into the details of it later. Okay.
The club officer basically just an admin.
Yeah, well, so when I'm thinking of a club officer, when you have a club, you have like a president, a secretary, a treasurer. What else? Various clubs have different officers, but you could do. They usually have the typical small suite of them. In terms of permissions, we didn't really do permissions with SQL Server, but I would like to show permissions when we get to this, how to set up permissions. You don't actually have to record them in any table because you can put them into the database itself, creating logins and users at the level of the database rather than store them in a table, although you can put them in a table. All right, so what we're going to use is not SQL Server Management Studio, but Workbench. It's MySQL Workbench, and I just started typing work because this is a different product. We're doing a different product. concepts are all the same, but it's a different product this time. This one free. It's owned.
And that should be in your computer already?
It should be in your virtual machine.
Oh.
So let me know when you've got. And this again, this is all free. You can download it from Oracle. I think it's 2 downloads because you don't want to download the enterprise. That's dated, will only last a few days before they want your money. You want the community edition, which is free. And then I think you have to download Workbench as a separate download when you do the community one.
I only remember doing 1 download.
Well, you may have. I don't know.
Although
may
I would
depend
trust
on
my
where-
memory. So.
Yeah. The reason I was saying that is that we were looking at it the other day. You were.
I was
you were.
trying to
Yeah.
download it, and it said, I need this, I need that, I need the third thing.
Did you ever get it done?
No, because I couldn't remember my password to get Visual Studio, and it would not download. Well, it would not install Visual Studio.
That doesn't make any sense
No, it
to me.
doesn't. I was just like, I'll just use it. It's fine.
I'm just gonna hold here for a minute. So you guys say you're ready. So this one has a host too. And over here, so when we click on this, we're going to click this and it's going to ask you for a password. And the password is the old SS0R.
My version doesn't have a logo.
So just model in your file.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Why would you not have local instance? So I'm going to actually shouldn't do this, but I'm going to click on that. If you just save password to the vault, you won't have to write your password in anymore. I'm sure that's a quiet idea, but. All right, so this is basically the Workbench is like a free version of SQL Server Management Studio. There's a lot of things over here, server stuff. Under schema are what you have as the databases. And this is just a tour right now. They have a Sakila database, which is kind of interesting. Can I scroll that down? I want to make that bigger. I move schema. And just move it to where you can see it. Views, filter objects, tables. It has tables. Anyway, there's a database in here that's basically a pre-built one that has stuff for DVDs and actors in movies and things. So if I do, this is basically like before, use, I just remember the name of the database. And this one should have a semicolon. And if you hit the little lightning bolt, it goes down here, tells you that it's using it. And then if I do like select star from actor, I'm not going to do a lot here. We're not going to ever use this, but you might want to play with it. So I'll do a semicolon. I will execute that. it'll give me a list of all the actors in here, and I think there's a fair number. 200 rows, it says. So if you ever want to just play with that database, it's there. Oh, I know why it's because it's over there. Okay. But the part we're going to do, so do you guys have any questions on this? This could be a little confusing at first. We will come back here when we're going to enter data. But for right now, we're going to go somewhere else because I want to get you into the modeling part of this. But questions here? I don't expect you to understand all of what's going on, but it's similar. They have some management stuff here. These are like server status things. You have your different instances, and then you have some performance monitoring tools. SQL Server has all those too. They don't show up on the side there, but they're all there in the menus. And then down here, and I wish I could, can I make that small? Ah, yes. It has the databases, and it calls them schemas, but these are the databases. There's a system database. There's a world database. These are the equivalents of some of the system databases in SQL Server. And then this is just a sample database to get you going. Most of the stuff above, you can ignore for right now, and probably for good, actually.
Are all these actors siblings of actual actors?
I have no idea.
What the last name?
Mostel, Gay, Cosset. Maybe. They are actually all real names, aren't they?
What the last names are?
Yeah, but the first names are wrong.
Somebody just shuffled their first names and reapplied them.
That could be, actually. They could have just randomized the first names, got a list of actors and did that. The movie names are ridiculous. I mean, things that they're in there are pretty silly. All right. So, are you ready for the next part? What we want to do is create a model in full, if any of these icons do it. So it would be easy, file, new model. And if you click on that, it takes you to a thing. I'm going to show you a couple of things. So I did file, new model. Now, one of the things, this is a little bit like the designer in SQL Server, except that the stuff here doesn't become a database until you tell it to. In the other, you can save the model without creating a database. SQL Server, if you do that, if you save the diagram, you create the database. Right? Here you don't have to. So this is you to design a database, change your model to the database, and do all sorts of things with it without having to actually commit it. So one of the things real quickly is just going to double click on the database, and I'm going to give it a new name. What do we want to do for our test database? Test. Test database, all right. All right, so that made it so that I've changed the actual name of the database, right? So if I can add comments, I can do whatever I want here. Let's see if I can go back. I'm just wondering if there's anything down below here. I want to to get back to where I was. Model overview, physical schemas. I don't have a scroll bar, but I feel like I'm not all on. Okay. So how do I get back? New table, add view, add new routine. Oh well. Let's do, I'm going to add diagram. So this diagram will now be test database diagram. Come on. You can do it. There we go. So here's a diagram. Notice over here, test database and tables. The thing to know about this, is confused last quarter, is that if you have a test database and you have tables, you can even enter data into it. It's not actually a database. Not until you run it, which I'll show you how to do in a bit. But, and all the data goes away. Really, it's nothing. So, but you can do that. So here's Designer. Over here you have tools. You can also get them up above in tools. But say you want a new table, there's a little icon here that says place a new table. You can also just press T. I'll just drag it out here. I have to click it and then drag it. There's a table. It gives me this dialog box for the table. So I'm going to table 1. I'm going to call it test table, since it's test database. All right, so let me, can I get rid of it? Double click and drag it. You need to get it onto the Designer. So if I go down, well, that doesn't work.
Now, how did you get the dialogue?
Double click the table. Boy, I hate how this is looking on here because I'm so big.
You can drag that down though, right?
Yeah, you can. There you go.
It's already a small one, so
I think it's partially just that I've got, that gives me the toolbox, but it doesn't give me the interesting. That's my test table, but it's, anyway, I'll show you what you do on this. You do the column name. Notice it gives you a default ID test table, makes it an integer, makes it a primary key, and not null. I mean, you don't have to use ID test table if you don't want, but that's what it gives you. These are your properties: primary key, not null, unique, binary, Unicode, I think.
Unsigned data type.
What?
It says unsigned data type.
Oh, unsigned. Unsigned. So if it's an integer, unsigned. ZF. I have to put it. Fill up values of that column if it, with zeros if it's numeric. Auto increment. So if you want it to auto increment, you can do that. Don't do G. G is generate a generated column. That's if you're doing a like an equation or something. So that would make it auto increment. I warn you, it's a flaw in when you're it doesn't auto increment. The fact that you've labeled it as auto increment. Now, if you insert with SQL, it will auto increment. It won't auto increment if you use the design. It's just a flaw. It's a bug. but it's a bug that was annoying last time. So for the next column, what do we want? Test name. Have I made this database with you guys before? It's a fairly meaningless database. Now notice they've got varchar, and again you can go up to 255 characters. You can get another primary key. You can make it null if you want. And notice it's adding them up here, right? And let's do one more, test date. So I'm just going to, here, I'll do test date. And you have data types. Again, if you look through here, you have lots of data types. I'm going to do date, and I will put not null. And I think that'll be my whole little table here. For these name inserts and pages. So mostly we will leave those alone. Foreign keys you can do here, or you can, there's a way you can drag and create foreign keys too. I don't know if I like, because I don't ever get that. There's a table. Can I, is there?
What about the down arrow?
Yeah, it doesn't do it. And it won't let me pull down. It's partially because I made my zoom here really big. And it's just inside of there. But I really would like just to let's zoom down and see what happens. I didn't do any. It just zooms the diagram. Testing. I'm just looking. Let's do a table that has a foreign key. All right, so let's do, we got test table. What kind of table more would I? What? I guess, but then, so we could do person and then person and test. So I need, I saw where I had the tools before. Where are they? Is that here? Yeah. So I'll do a table. And I'm going to bring it over here to the diagram. Again, my your diagram, I hope, is a lot better than mine. Damn it. It's not going to let me do that. Anyway, so if I double click this second table, I can name it. So let's just call it a person or people. It gives me a ID person. I can make it a primary key, not null, auto increment. I'll just do like first name, last name. So person, first name. Now, car here, you know, in C you have in varchar. Varchar here is Unicode. They didn't differentiate. And again, you could do like 255. It needs that parenthesis. So I've seen some more last names.
specific calendars.
In some that are really long. Person last name. And we'll make it 5 again. What I do in the variable characters, I figure it doesn't matter. I might as well give them the full length because it's going to shrink to whatever it is. But you can make it less if you want. I'm going to do one other, which is person email. And again, that is 255. And then I'm going to, so we got what, primary key, that one. Last name I will make not. And person email, make not null, unique. So that emails have to be unique.
But you're not requiring a first name.
I'm not required first name. Some people only have one name or go by one name. The Madonnas of the world. Now, that's actually all I want for this table. Over here. See that? Wait. This. Oh, you know, right here. I bet. Aha. So I'm going to bring in another table, which will be a linking table between these two, because it'll attach person to the tests that they're taking or whatever. And then, because again, the whole point of this is just to show you how you can go about designing a database, right? So you figure out what your tables are, like before. You can draw these and draw relationships. Add one more table. Then you can, when we're done, when we've figured out that we've got it the way we want it, you can actually just take it and create the database. And I'll show you how to do this now, but I don't want you to do it until we've gone over the review of the. So to double click this one, it's back this. Good. So I'm going to call this one a person. I'm going to, I think I'll just call it, this has ID person. I think I'll just B. I want the per key. And that will be not, and it will be an integer. And then we'll so what was it called? In the other table, the test table.
Test name.
ID test table.
ID test table. And that would be int. And should I do this? This would be ID person, right?
Table.
Is that what it was called? It should be all right. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do foreign keys. This is probably the best. You can draw the things, but there's some tricky things about drawing them. So if I do a foreign key, I need to give it a name. So this name is not the same as the foreign key. So I'm going to, I mean, as the field. So I'm going to do this as like person underscore FK. On here, so this is the name of the foreign key constraint. The reference table is going to be person. And I am going to do ID person table, and it's going to be, it's actually ID person. but it doesn't matter as long as they match. So this is going to be person foreign key. It's going to use the person table, and the field that is going to match is the ID person table column that's in our table, and the ID person field that's in the person table. Again, foreign key. Does that make sense?
I don't have an idea.
Person table. But it says I didn't have a. So I'm going to do another. Will be the text foreign key.
Yeah, I could person.
Yes. Took the. It was the one I. I'm going to.
Oh, I see.
I'm just a row. Just data table. ID test table and ID test table. Again, they don't have to be the same, but you have to match the primary key with the foreign key. So test foreign key comes from the test table. In that, the ID test table is matched to the, in our table, is matched to the ID test in the other. Let me kind of shrink this down. Let's go back to columns. I'm going to close that and find my tables. See how it's relationships?
What are you doing for test foreign key too?
So what I have is I have ID person is linked to ID person table here. And ID test table is linked to ID test table here. This one doesn't have a table on. What is the three? One to many. Now, there are some things down here, but these are a little bit tricky. There are tools here where you can drag them, and it will pop up in that dialog anyway. But the one you want generally is what they call a non-identifying one. There's some other on here. The one that is what you want, usually. If it's a solid line, it means it's going to take this for the get a. I've seen some really nasty maths. Dashed ones. I don't know if I can here, because there are more down here. Can't well, so can I see them if I go down? No, I still. How do you get the rest of that toolbar? Down arrow? This one? Oh, yeah. So it has these solid line ones. As I said, generally you don't want to use those. Notice it does have many. Again, in design that's okay, but it won't resolve in the database. All right, so this is, I mean, what I want you guys to do once you get going is just to try, and I can help you get in here. Try to model out that Python club with draft. And then you can, I think with the model, you, the model, let's see, file, save model, and there's save model as, and I think, yeah, that's all. I think as type, I thought it was a picture. You could always just use the snippet tool. to give me a picture of this.
You want for
Yeah, not this one, but when you make your own database. Let me show you how to turn this into an actual database. So you do want to save your model, probably. So I'm going to do File, Save Model as. Actually, it already has a name, so let's just do File, Save Model. So then give it. So let's call the test database. And I'm going to save that. It's a good idea to save your model because if your database goes askew or you need to make changes to it, you can load the model, redo work on the model, and then in the database, there's a couple of things. There's reverse engineer and there's forward engineer. So reverse engineer is if you had the database already, you can get a model for the database. Forward engineer is actually more interesting. That is where you can take your model and you can generate the database from the model. So I'm going to forward engineer this. So we're just going to do localhost. Don't think I need to do anything here. Can't get down to the next button. How do I get to the next button?
you can drag the window up further.
I tried.
You can just resize the window to be smaller.
I tried to.
Oh, there we go.
But I don't think what that do. All right, I'm going to. This may. My mom. You guys should. The settings. I think I'm back to where it's too small. Let's try this again though. Let's look at the display settings. And it won't let me do that. And then it's big. That is 200% now. Let's see if 200% works. Okay, let me open the model. Okay, so let's try this again. Forward engineer. Hey, I can see the next button. So let's do next. For the most part, you can ignore all of these on the screen. They let you custom a bit when you're doing this. We want to export the tables. There's really nothing to do here. Notice it says is a generated SQL script.
Did you receive?
It asked me, I just put it back in.
If you might have to put the password in, which is just password @ss. I checked the box not to show that again, but again, that's not necessarily a good idea. So you can look at the script if you want. This is what it does, and then you do next. And if everything goes well, and you get green, little blue checks across here, when you go to now we will go to the schema. So let's look at is it file? Oh, local instance. These tabs up above the menu. So schemas, it should be here. I'm going to refresh that, and notice that test database is here. This time it's an actual database. I had to refresh. I hit the little.
Oh, I see it.
Refresh this.
And it should pop up.
And it should have my tables. So it has person, test, and test table. So just a quick review, and then I'll let you guys kind of get into groups and do the thing. Is we do to do a new model, you do File, New Model. You probably double-click the database and give the database your name, Python Club or whatever you want to name it. Right? Otherwise, it's going to be MyDB. Once you've named it, so I'm not going to make this one, but test 2. Then you can, if you want to close this, you can close that. It's now test 2. You can create a diagram, and then you drag your tables, click it, and then drag a table on, and then put it wherever you want. And then if you double click that, you can set the properties for the tables. So the thing that you have to do first, right, if you're looking at the assignment, is figure out what kinds of tables do you need, right? What are the columns, what are the attributes going to be in those tables? It's just like what we did with Vince's, except that this time it's for the Python Club. So what kind of tables do you have? What kind of columns do you need in each table, and how do they relate to each other? And I just want to give it your best bet, because as I said, best try, because it's really a good exercise. And then what we will do on Wednesday is we'll compare what you guys have, and we'll talk through it until we all have a decent design. We'll build the database. We'll go and we'll do some testing, and I'll also try to show you a little bit about the security this time if I didn't do it the other. So that's actually a lot of work. The other thing is that you will need to, you should join a Python group. So it can be the same groups you had before, or it can be different. But get together with the people you're going to work with and join the Python group this time too. And I'm going to give you the next hour to do that. And if you need help, I don't expect this to have stuck totally, but if you need help, let me know. Did you manage to get into an instance and all of that?
There isn't a local instance that I can tell.
So
I'm still able to create a diagram. Now.
Right. I think it may well be that you downloaded the
Community, but not the.
Well, or you downloaded, but not the.
Okay.
Should we group up?
Yeah.
Shadows in group?
What group?
Yeah.
No, but what group number?
Would you do 6 again?
Okay.
So we'll divide time. We could, is it people or not?
For what?
Oh, people in.
Yeah, people groups. And the Python group it may be down there a ways, though, and you just a huge list of groups, not well distinguished. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah,
Of course, they do that. The test when I didn't see.
Bring it back.
Did you know that you were a customer?
Nope.
File, open model.
Yeah.
There's nothing on there. Yeah, and it's really hard to move these databases around, but you can move the model around.
So we're gonna look at the same group.
That's fine. Yeah, so you have to reset that again. Yeah. All right, let me go into.
Yeah.
Oh, the programming language? Okay, so I'm gonna think of this.
Come on, go. Okay. So,
Just got the blue thinking wheel of death. So we're gonna need
We're gonna need a permission statement.
the meeting.
I'll see the announcements.
all right, so I increased the size to 5 students, so you should be okay.
Oh, can I get it now?
Should be able to.
So technically, you could have another person
like you
send
on
a permission statement would basically have
Do you feel better, Steve?
officer.
I do. I feel a lot better. It's on the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Dying last week. This week I
It's
could do it.
the
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
check like if you want it's a type of contract.
It's pretty much on
I
track
was
here.
like, oh, that's not that.
That's why I have, but then.
I remember when an email come back.
I was going. Him and I.
Because I thought it was like 20. But randomly say
Yeah, it was. I was somewhat surprised by the length of it, but yeah, the 20. I hope he can.
Well, at the moment, I think.
They are, although there's some a lot of visas canceled. So some people are being forced to apply for visa.
I did send him an email if he needed any help.
Yeah, I think somewhere in emails, there's, he told me.
Actually, someone gave the email last time in group 6. About the differences between the US and Iraq and the US. All right, and everything, and then apparently the best legal defense, yes. The best legal defense in Iraq is silence.
You just don't talk about it.
Yeah, meeting with them.
This is very good.